Good morning, James Chapman.
Top of the morning to you.
Yes, sir. I think it's about lunchtime here coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. We going after it this morning, man. Just trying to tighten up some numbers, trying to get everything figured out. Scenario based things,
Yeah.
calculations, numbers, nothing that I've ever been good
Math.
at. Yeah,
A lot of math.
nothing I've ever been good at.
Hey man, there's a lot of things that are required skills, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Well, it also didn't help that I always sat in the back of the math class and I needed reading glasses to be able to see the board. Just never told anybody that I couldn't see the board. And I always purposely sat in the back because I felt like, a cool kid sitting in the back of the class kind of situation. Long story short, it wasn't that I was having problems understanding, it was having the problem of being able to see and actually learn.
so engagement.
Yeah, the engagement of the
Yeah.
classroom. Yeah.
Yeah. You fool with a lot of numbers all day though, don't you?
Well, yeah, dude, I can do the adding and subtracting and the multiplications. That's easy. It's when
Let
you
me
start,
ask you this. Can you, if you're looking at a house and you're about to list it, can you figure your commissions on the fly in your head pretty fast, roughly?
easy.
Easy. Yeah, because you do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
As long as I think you keep an idea that if you're crunching numbers, that math is helping you make more money, just like when you figure that commission rate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
And that's the thing. I think it comes down to it, something that I do every day and all that kind of, breaking it down of what makes sense and how we can make this make sense. You know, a little bit of my job is math. A little bit of my, obviously you're in real estate, you got to figure things out. So, and I always make sure to go over it multiple times because I know it's a weaker point. I always make
Yeah.
sure it's like, hey, dude, we got to get this one dialed in.
Mhm.
But when it comes to, just certain things just inside the office, like making sure that we've got, you know, percentages that are being paid out or whatever else is squared away.
Mhm.
Yeah, that can get a little bit frustrating for me.
Yeah.
But that's why you hire people around you to make sure it's correct.
Yeah, and I think though, I think a lot of times, or one of the things that I've done with tracking, because I go to a whole nother level with tracking. So a lot of it is system built in my CRM, but there's also things where I take all that data and try to make it work for me. And I feel you, man. And one of the ways I've done that is getting a lot better, acquiring the skills over time, YouTubing, whatever, and getting really good at Excels.
Mm-hmm.
And I would build out an Excel spreadsheet that would do things and calculate over the year and do all my auto sums and just all that stuff. So it compiles. I can see the averages out how I want to by the month, by the year, by the product, whatever. And then all I have to do is plug in numbers to get my answers at the bottom. And then I can
Yeah.
track that over time and try to make it move. And that has been extremely helpful. And look, I'll tell you that one of the main ones we use, it got too deep. Even after I researched, I still couldn't figure it out. And I went on Fiverr, hired a guy, and got it where I was like, hey man, I'm probably gonna need multiple edits because this is difficult to explain what I needed to actually do. And I mean, I think I spent $50. He had it to me in a day. We made 3 edits after that. Been rocking and rolling on that thing for a couple of years now, So it's amazing. I don't know if I could go back, you talking about paying attention in math class, I would have really paid more attention in learning how to be, because an Excel spreadsheet, man, it's amazing what you can do with those. It's almost endless. And I know that I only probably know 5% of what you can actually do with it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Bringing on Justin onto the team, and I had him specifically, for ISA, that type of deal. Sort of realizing this kid's just a ball of knowledge when it comes to numbers, data, and just coding and figuring things out, that when it comes down to the number aspect. And I was like, dude, I got this guy in the wrong position.
Yeah.
pulled him out and I said, look, I need you to just get this stuff dialed in. And we've just been working on just dialing in all the stuff that we've got to. Um, and so it's been really cool to see him just kind of dive in and just handle the stuff that I need and say, hey, Justin, on the board behind me here, you can see that like we've got a bunch of things dialed in. And I'm like, Justin, I just need this. And he just goes, got it, dude. I'm on it.
Nice. Yeah. That's what it's about. And I'll tell you, one of the things that we did, we built out so much reporting is great. But what was interesting, we would go back like 6 months later, a question would come out and we'd go, well, why did we build it that way? And then we'd have to like totally reevaluate, do we have it built that way? Why do we have it built that way? So like now on all that, we went back and built like the whole summary of like, hey, this reporting does this, and here's why we have it do it this way. So now if there's a question, we go back and look and go, wait a minute, we're questioning this. Let's go back to the knowledge of why we built it this way. What was the reason in the first place it was set up like that? And we explain it to ourselves in writing on the report. So we go to the reference page and look at that. That's been huge too, man. It makes a massive difference. I try to track I don't track to just track, but like some reports I don't even look at every month, but it's amazing the things that I've dialed in on. I got my main reports, but other stuff, that data's coming in. So if I think I got a problem, I can go back and it's there. I don't have to build it from scratch, So, and then I try to automate as much as I can of it. That shit's important.
Yeah.
You got to know, like, I've talked about it a bunch of times, like when COVID hit and I realized I didn't really understand what made my company tick. I knew we were doing well, but like, I didn't understand why. No, I'm done with those days.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of, my coach always talks about, the tracking. If you can't track it, you can't grow it. And if you can't grow it, you don't have a business. Like if you can't figure out, the percentages of your call ratio, your close ratio, if you don't know that information, you can't do anything. Like you can't increase that. You're just pissing in the dark.
Yeah.
And you don't know if you're pissing on your shoes or if you're hitting, the stick that you want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
truly,
it comes down to being able to get that stuff dialed in. And so that's what I would encourage you is that, you have opportunities. Like you don't have to hire someone directly to come in and do these things for you. You have the opportunity to be able to get on something like Fiverr, right? Fiverr, and ask them, like you can go in there for logos, you can go in there for spreadsheet stuff, you can go in there for anything and absolutely everything and pay $50 and get you something spit out that is dialed in for what you need it for.
Yeah, for sure. And at first I would look at it for like logo stuff or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like then I realized like, man, it can be super simple tasks. It's just outside of our wheelhouse. Like really tightening up and dialing in a spreadsheet that is very, very useful that gets used daily in this company. Like, all right, let's have somebody who this is all they do, tighten that thing up,
Yep.
And it's cheap to do it.
Yep.
So like, but Fiverr is very cool on the different things you can take advantage of. I mean, it's got ratings, it's got reviews. I mean, you see every piece of it. It's a great tool. I've used it multiple times on things, but I will say though, what goes hand in hand with that is, yeah, you gotta. So the way it was explained to me, pretty close to the way you said it. I was in a meeting with my CPA, and he was talking to a group of us, and he was really breaking down. He goes, if you don't track it, you can't measure it. You can't measure it. You can't change it. So, I look at the good and the bad, so I can track, measure, and then change. But that's the thing. Like if you just build it and then you get the numbers, you also got to go back and actually like look at that stuff and then try to figure out what's causing it. And then the other piece that I think really hand in hand is it's like the cherry on top. It makes it all go full circle is then auditing to the expectations on that. So, okay, hey, we see our closing rate, call to close rate is 50%. Okay, great. Well, why is it 50%? Is that good or bad? Let's look at it at an industry level. That's really good. Or that's good. It's not really good, but it's good. Okay. So is there ways we can get it to 60? All right, let's go back and do some call quality checks. Let's
Mhm.
go back and look at how stuff's put in the system of when somebody's quoted and how we follow up and how we help them. There's things I want to spend money on right now and do business with people, but I've not done it yet.
Yeah.
They call me and put a little pressure on me, then I get back around to it because I'm a busy guy, man. Like I'm busy.
Yeah.
There's a million good things that could help me, but I can't do a million things at one time. I can only do one thing at a time. So, like, sometimes the squeaky wheel, the follow up, man, this guy's persistent. He really thinks he can help me. I need to look back at this, right? Like, so same with us and our products. Same with you being an agent. Nobody should be doing business with any other agent, right? They should be doing a business with you because nobody's going to take care of them like you do. Nobody's going to stay in touch, answer the calls when they don't want to answer calls, and get that fucking property sold.
That's right.
So, you got to let them know that's you, right? So same for my sales team. You got to let them know we're the best at it. We're going to advise them better than anybody. And if we think we got what's best for them, you need to go shout it from the rooftops.
Yep.
So me going back, auditing that and see how we can tune it up, how we can make it a little better, how our approach is, how we can change that. Okay, does one person have better results than the others? What are they doing? Let's define that. Let's break that down. Hey, I got one person who's slacking compared to the others. Well, let's go talk to them about it. Well, I didn't know that was even the case, James. Like sometimes it's just not even knowing. Well, if I didn't look back at it and audit to that and compare it to the numbers of the rest of the group, shit, none of us would have never known.
Right.
We just thought we'd had somebody who wasn't trying hard enough. Yeah. So it all dials in and comes together. And if you own the company or you're responsible for that piece, that is right there, true as it fucking comes when the definition is work on your business, not in your business. That's what they mean.
Yep.
So,
And there's a couple of different things that I want to just tie into that. Like I saw a video, I think Jocko put it up the other day where he was like, when they go into, let's just say they get a high point and, let's say, he's trying to make sure everything's clear. He goes up to the window to make sure, ground level's good, all that kind of stuff. So when he posts up, he said he didn't have to be there more than 3 seconds before another guy tapped him on the shoulder and said, I got it. Right. Because that's the exact same concept of looking down versus they didn't want Jocko looking down and doing their job. They wanted Jocko being able to see the entire, spectrum of what's going on. And just being able to be in that realm of like, okay, am I honed in right now? Am I only focused on sales? Am I only focused on this one thing when I need to be pulled back, detached a little bit and actually be focusing on the external things that keep popping up? But that's a hard play to do, especially when, just as humans, like we get dialed in, right? The squeaky wheel gets the thing. So it's like, what do I need to focus on? Do I need to focus on sales and getting our numbers up? Right. Which a lot of agents and teams are focused on right now. It's just like, getting those numbers up when you actually need to be focused, pulled out a little bit and be focused on what's happening on the surroundings.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's interesting to kind of see that.
I always like to think, now I know shit about manufacturing. Okay. Outside. I mean, like when you think manufacturing, what do you think?
I think like widgets.
Okay. But you, like me, I always picture like a warehouse and there's like conveyor belts.
Yeah.
And there's people like with hairnets on and like keeping stuff sterile and they're doing something. It's working an assembly line, right? And it's manufacturing something, right? There's quality control and all these things happening. And for some reason, for me, when I'm trying to solve something or I try to think about my company, you think of it exactly, you're in it, man. Like, and it's tough to like get outside of that view. And I think like you're talking, hey, Jocko needs to stay high up so he can see the whole picture. But like, in addition to that, I always try to think if I was in a different industry, like if I was in manufacturing and we were manufacturing insurance policies for clients that need them, what would that look like? Is this process kind of following that? And there was things that we were doing that didn't follow that. I was taking salespeople and saying, hey, we now manufacture this widget. It's called an insurance policy. So now I want you to go look for the raw materials come in, develop the raw materials, manufacture the raw materials, now go sell the raw materials. Oh, also, if there's any warranty issues on that widget now, you handle all the warranty issues on it. A manufacturer would never do things like that, right? I don't think they would. So why am I doing my insurance agency like that? Why are you doing your real estate agency like that? Why are you doing your yogurt shop like that? Whatever you have, like, why are you doing it like that? Like, if it wouldn't work that way, like, think of ways outside of that, potentially, like if it was a different industry, and, try to get outside perspective, make outside perspective for yourself. So I was dealing with a big problem the other week. Hell, I was dealing with it for 2 months. And finally I was like, man, if Addison and I went and sat down and Addison told me the exact problem that I'm having right now and explained it to me in detail, I would ask him, like, what do you mean? What's the problem? It's obvious as shit. Like, you're just denying the truth of what needs to happen. And you need to go fucking, like, drop it down, drop the hammer, and make things go like they need to. Quit being a bitch and do what you need to, Addison. That's exactly what I would have said to you. So, like, as soon as I did it that way, I was like, I need to quit being a bitch and drop the hammer. Right. And that's exactly what I did. And I solved the problem like that. Like,
step outside the picture frame.
Yeah.
Think about it. And that's a really cool way to think about something like that. If you're having an issue, being able to put it in a different perspective. They say, in jujitsu, you learn more by teaching because people ask you questions and you have to see it from their side of their brainwave, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, how to do the move, everything about the move, right? But then the moment you start teaching it and people ask you certain questions, you have to see it in a different light, which then gives you the opportunity to maybe tweak it a little bit or fix the problem. Just being able to see your weak points in that. It's really cool to be able to see something like that and then actually be able to think about something like that. Because I wouldn't have thought about it like that.
Yeah, and it's helped tremendously. But to that point, that's really great. Like, I realize I'm not that great of a teacher. I'm too scattered, man. I'll get down the rabbit hole. You're gonna, instead of just telling you the time on some, I'm gonna tell you how the watch is made on that one particular watch, right? Like, I'm gonna go deep. And so with somebody who's more advanced in the industry, I'm very helpful there. But with, like, new people, I wasn't the best. So what do we do? Okay. Like, if you really look at our company, we're well-trained, educated in specific product, but at the end of the day, it's data entry. We move the data where it needs to go, get it where it needs to go, and make it all connect. Okay. Our day, truly 90% of the day for the company as a whole, as far as from clients to carriers, us being in between, revolves around 4 main activities. 4. That's it. 4. Okay, that's very simple. So when we're looking at like that and people are feeling overwhelmed, I try to bring it back to the 4 activities. But we said that ain't going to teach anybody.
Yeah.
All right. What we got to do is we got to build a playbook. So 4 main activities, 90% of our day. Currently, our playbook sits at almost 90 pages of information for all the specific things, different departments, different duties, all that stuff, how you do it from top to bottom. There's training videos that go along with a lot of it on the stuff that really you just need to understand the navigation, and reading the words doesn't really get you where you need. Okay. That playbook could probably be double in size. It's a living, breathing document. It continues to grow and get bigger, and as it rightfully should.
Yeah.
To understand and explain in detail. So now I take somebody, you talk about like that jujitsu, you learn from teaching, you get on you understand their wavelengths, right? Their perspective. Same for somebody in your company. They can't read your mind. I have this grand master plan. I can tell it to you just like in detail, but like, that's like saying, hey, you're going to walk across country without a map, but let me tell you what the destination looks like. And here's why it's worth it. Well, that's great. That's going to get you all fired up, Addison, man. You're fucking excited and shit. Like, oh my God, it's amazing there. All these things, but you have no map how to get there. Well, it's pointless, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's simple. Pack a bag, have enough food, have enough water, and put a foot in front of each other. Okay, got it. But how the fuck do I get there?
Mm-hmm.
And where's the turns and where's the trouble zones and how do I navigate? That's where it's got to have meat on the bones, man. Yeah. You know the destination. You tell me the simple steps of how to do it, but like I still need day-to-day direction. And if you can't give them that, then you're gonna lose. And if you can't track that, you're gonna lose. And if you don't go back and audit that and check how they're moving so you can teach and continue to give them information, you're going to lose. Yep. And when I say you're going to lose, it's actually worse than that. You're going to be losing to someone else and you're not going to know it. And that's even worse than just getting your ass beat. And you're going to think, oh, it's just tough. I'll figure it out. I'll just keep pushing and plugging along. But you're doing it blind. And you got other people, it's the blind leading the blind. And yeah, you just keep telling them how great this destination is out there, but you can't ever get them there. And which means you're never going to get there. And you don't even know it, that there's a competitor out there and they're light years ahead of you, or they're already there sipping mimosas while you're still plugging along in the freaking swamps, looking for your ass.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. But I mean, it comes down to like, I personally, like when it comes down to like teaching and stuff like that, dude, I do trial by fire, right? You get into the field, you get the job, or, even if it's admin work or whatever, I don't always know exactly what I need you to do, but I can tell you, these are the things that need to get done. And I just need you to have some resources to figure it out. Right. And if you run into a problem, okay, let's talk about it. Let's work through that problem and see where we need to be. And then we can tighten that ship up. And then the thing gets done and you're like, oh, okay, I see how that works. Right.
Yeah.
Or, buyers isn't going on an appointment. I'm going to give you all the information that you need, but you won't know until you get there on how to be in that field. Right.
Yeah.
And so I can give you the resources and I can teach you, and like, hey, these are the things you need to go through. Check. But guess what? You won't know what that experience is until you get in that experience and you start feeling it a little bit. So, I mean, I get what you're saying there. I get what you're saying, but also you've got to have that left, right, you have to have the directional points to be able to understand where you're trying to go.
Yeah. But see, like I'm learning as I continue to go. So I hope I'm not coming off here as I got it all figured out, because sure as shit.
What you said made sense.
Yeah, okay, so good. But here's like where I miss it. So I say, here's the information. Here is a flyover view of me explaining. Do you got it, Addison? And you say, yeah. Okay, so you're going to do 1, 2, 3. Got it. All right. But you tell me that, I go back and I go to the next thing, because I'm trying to build an empire and I'm going to see where bricks are getting laid somewhere else and making sure they're getting laid right. I don't go, okay, you got it. Now let me see you lay that brick.
Yep.
I don't do that. And I fail because I haven't been doing that. And that just got made very obvious to me this week.
Well, it's funny you say that. Morgan brought that up to us when we drove down to do the 50 miler or a 25 miler or something like that.
Okay.
26. Morgan brought that up to you.
Did he?
Yeah. In a similar aspect.
Yeah. So I'm the guy sitting here giving advice, and I sit there and keep doing the same thing, expect different results, right?
Yeah. But but it comes back down to, he brought up a similar situation of like the person was having problems with something, and then he said, okay, well, show me what you're doing. And then he walked through it and he said, well, this is why you should do it this way, right? This is the way it should be done. And then he said, okay, now let me see you do it this way to see what happens. Right. It was a different example. And I don't know why that just rang, but it was a different example, but the same concept of laying the brick. Show me how you lay the brick so I can understand where you're at, right? Where are your technical skills? But dude, it comes down to, you hear, like when you need to learn something, you learn it. When you need to hear something, you hear it. It's all
Yeah.
about time, and it's all about point, and it's all about
Mhm.
that learning process. It only comes when it's time.
Yeah.
Like I could tell you, James, you know, don't touch the cactus because it's going to be pointy, right?
Mhm.
But you're not going to like you may have never seen a cactus in your entire life until the point you see the cactus and you're like, got it.
Yeah.
Cactus are pointy, but I'm going to touch it. And then you
Yeah.
learn
Yeah. Yeah.
and
For
then things
sure.
connect.
But like that's to that, you're 100% right. Like things come in the time they need to, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you got to be open to that and you got to be focused on that. So, and then I think also you got to put in the effort on it. Like, for example, my playbook, I was talking to a guy about it and he owns an agency and we were talking, he's like, would you share that with me? He said, I would even be willing to pay you. I said, no. And it wasn't because I was being stingy. I was just, and I told him flat, it's like, it isn't about paying me or not paying me. I'm just not going to share it with you because it's not going to do for you what it's doing for me. Like, you got to go build that. It's got to be yours. Just like when we talked about core values. I think, remember me telling you that story when I first, I was like, we need some core values. And it was like, Zappos has some of the best core values in the industry. You know what I did? I went copy and pasted their core values. And I told my company, hey, here's our core values now. That wasn't me. They don't work for Zappos. I don't work for Zappos. Like that wasn't what it should have been.
Yeah.
And finally, I couldn't even tell you what they were. And then I got rid of it. I created my own core values of what I respect in myself and the people who work with me. And I was like, this is our core values. And this is what we're going to hire on. And this is what we're going to fire on. And this is what we're going to grow on. You know, it's like some things you have to make yourself. And that's difficult. Good. Thank God it's fucking difficult. Because that means that some bitch beside you that's competing with you, he's or she is not going to do it because it's too difficult and they're going to quit. Like the difficult is where you find the things that move you forward. So, you know, and I got to stay focused on that because, like I said, we did this big growth. And like, dude, I got challenged in these ways I haven't been challenged. It's difficult as shit. Like, fuck, man, I could have had it a little easier if I wouldn't have done this. But like, where's my growth at?
Yeah. Where's the uncomfortable feeling? Where is the pressure? Where is, one of the things that they say that people lose success or they lose the opportunity for making that bigger, like getting from 250 to 850, right? A year. The difference maker between the people who are at 250 and 850 are the simple fact that they got comfortable at that 250 and they just said, you know what, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. But what could have been is what the concept is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Are you willing to put in that little grit? Do you got that dog in you?
Yeah.
If so, then don't stop.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, you know, maybe sometimes you feel like you're putting yourself in danger in doing that. Well, maybe you are.
Mm-hmm. And you probably are.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully so. Like that's where the rewards are at. I mean, what's the quote? The cave you fear holds the treasures you seek, man. That's it, baby. Like, you know, or just be real with yourself and say that's not what you really want. And that's okay too. Hey, if you
100%.
get to a spot and you're comfortable and it runs, look, there's people I know at times straight up, depending on the stress level I'm in, I envy because they got a good thing going. They got a good number coming in and they're comfortable. They got really flexible schedules. And I feel like there's never enough time in the day for me right now.
Yeah, I
And
agree
it
with that.
burns me the fuck out at points. Like it burns me out. I have to remind myself why I'm doing it. And then I get back to dominating. I take the little win and I push all the losses to the side. I go, that little win, man, I'm going to fucking ball that son bitch up. I'm going to keep it close and it's mine right now. And it motivates me and it reminds me of what I want.
Yeah.
So, you know, like there's phases to that shit. So like, just be real with yourself on what you want and where you want to get. And if you say that's it, then fucking get there as quick as you can.
That's it.
And then be happy with it, you know?
Yep.
So,
Folks, we appreciate you. We know that listening to this podcast has hopefully been helpful, right? We hope that it has been helpful for you. I was asked the other day, why are you still doing the podcast? And I was like,
they said, why?
Yeah. It, it was more in-depth conversation.
Mm.
And I had to sit there and think about it. I was like, it'd be cool if it just took off and I could monetize and, just blow up. And the only thing I have to worry about is doing a podcast with James Chapman on a Thursday, right?
Hmm.
That would be so awesome. But that's not the reason I do it. Like I would love that, and that's what I want out of this.
Hmm.
But the reason I do this and I do it with you is it's not just a podcast when we get on this, right? It's not just James and I talking. It's the processing of information. It's the processing with another human that I enjoy being around. Like
Mm.
it's a it's almost like a therapy in business type thing, right?
Hmm.
But also there's a certain level of there's a hierarchy in what the reasons I like it, but the top reason is the simple fact that if one thing is said and it just changes somebody's life from, you know, bottom to top, like 0 to 100, and they hit that little gas on the fire and it just blows up for them. That would be I can't even explain it, right?
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
It's one of those feelings of like, dude, this will be around forever, and then that one time that someone gets what they need out of it, and
Hmm.
it just clicks. I just hope I'm around for it, right?
Yeah.
To be able to appreciate and say, you know what, posted that dude on my Instagram or whatever, and say, dude,
Hmm.
I'm proud of you for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. And that goes for listeners. Look, man, some of the guests we've had on
Mm-hmm.
that have, like, we got them when they were first starting out because we're a smaller podcast. Okay. But you could just tell, like, that dude's got something. There's something to that dude. A perfect example is, like, seriously, like, man, Kevin Cooney, like, that guy, he is a beast. He's a
Mm-hmm.
freaking beast. But you know what? When he came on the podcast, I never heard of him.
Yeah.
Didn't know him until he came on the podcast. And that dude's blowing up. Like, when I met that guy, I was like, he's going to the top, man. Like, as soon as I met him and we did the podcast, I was like, that guy's going to be an absolute animal.
Oh
I
yeah.
think he's just getting started. That's the shit that fires me up too, man. I like to see people win. I
Yeah.
want to hear about people winning it. And even, like, I mean, I'll just tell you, like, my business partners now, we had a recent quarterly meeting. We were talking about some stuff, and I was like, I want you to label some stuff out. Like, I want to know some numbers on you guys. Like, you know, like the kind of money you make and stuff just from over your lifetime, the other things you got in. And like, they were like, well, you got to remember you're a good bit younger than us. I was like, exactly. Fire me the fuck up.
Yeah.
Piss me off. I want to get motivation out of it. Like, I want to know you're beating my ass and I got to try to catch up to you because
Yeah.
I'm running with you guys now. Dude, I love that. I love that shit. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
like,
do.
stay fired up on it. And I'm with you on the podcast. Like, this is fun. I love it. I love it because Addison and I inspire each other. We motivate each other. We're there for each other. And like, honestly, like, sometimes it's just me talking through stuff. Same for Addison, talking through stuff. And it just kind of, you self-reveal things you need to step up on.
Yep. Yep. And something that I'm going to leave it at this. Something my coach said the other day is your business is a highlight of you as a person. Any problems that you're having in your business are internal problems that you're having,
Wow.
which took me a minute, right? Allowed me to kind of process some information. And having somebody tell you on an outside field that, hey, you're afraid of being alone. You have something to prove to somebody. I don't know who that person is, but you have something to prove. And that's just it. That is what it is. And that's why you're in the position that you're in. But, it would be important for you to be able to dive into a little bit that most successful people have something to prove to somebody and they just don't know who that person is, whether it's themselves or whatever. And he was like, you have that and you've got to figure that out. And then in addition to that, look at your business. Where are you having problems? Because that's where you're having internal problems. And I was like, ugh. He smoked me, dude. Smoked me. And, just going through the processing of that information. And I was like, you're right. Yeah. Like, I have a problem with certain things of like holding standards in certain places.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I wouldn't give myself that credit. Like, I wouldn't give myself that kind of leniency, but I'm doing it because I know the alternative is then I have to fire people. I have to get rid of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to replace them. Like that whole concept. And he was like, dude, you're afraid of being alone. That's fine. But you got to work through that and you got to get, you got to get over this hump so you can actually get to that next level.
Yeah.
So I say that to say what I've said in the beginning was simply your business is a reflection of you as a person. And so it's important to kind of see where your faults are because you can see that in your business and you can't always see it in yourself. Right. So if you're having a hard time with A, B, and C, look at how you would you give yourself that same standard? And if you're not, why are you doing it? Why are you allowing these things to happen? And that'll tell you.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as being scared, right? It could be as simple as being nervous about whatever, but there's a deeper reason. Guys, appreciate you. I appreciate you, James. I want you guys to have a great day. Go get some, and don't forget to go get some Jocko Fuel and Origin USA products because it's going to be an amazing day when you get that little package in, you get that notification, hey, delivered, because you're about to put on some nice pants, about to put on a nice shirt, maybe a nice gi top and a nice gi bottom, maybe some boots, maybe even just an energy drink. Who knows? But you'll figure it out. But when you do go to get everything figured out, don't forget to put in code GRIND10, GRIND 10 at checkout. Get yourself 10% off. James, what you got for them?
Grinder out.